gang, what's going on? Let's talk about favorite cinema experiences, or theater, or movie house, or whatever the hell you call it. Let's talk about that. I got this idea when I went and watched Alien last month on the big screen for the first time, and why that might not be something special to a lot of people, it was being able to see my favorite film on the big screen, which I had never done. So I was very excited to see that, and it meant a lot to me. And seeing older films brought out like that is a real joy to see. So I got to thinking, what are everybody else's favorite experiences? That's not my favorite experience, but I enjoyed it a lot. I have a lot of different times going to the cinema that I have really enjoyed, just remembering back. My number one experience, I'll talk about others, but my number one experience is going to see Solo with my son, my daughter, and my wife. We all went to see Solo. We very rarely ever go to a movie all together, but we've made it a habit to go to Star Wars films together since the kids were around. So we're into this movie. I don't even know how far we're into it. 30 minutes, maybe. And my son gets sick and throws up. This is already a semi-packed house. Throws up on the floor. Come to find out, he had a party at school and had ate too much and got sick because his sister bought him popcorn, and it was just too much, and he threw up. And even though I am a die-hard Star Wars fan, and I'm not going to deny the fact that I was a little bit aggravated that I was going to have to leave in the middle of or in the beginning of this movie, but I kept my composure. I was like, that's all right, bud, we'll come back and watch it another day. And he said, no, I want to stay and watch this. So, being the father that I am, we stayed and watched it. But I also took his popcorn and dumped it on the puke so that it would soak up and not smell throughout the movie. My apologies to the ladies that had to go clean that up. I did let them know. My son threw up a little bit in the front. Of course, everybody's a little bit is a different amount, I think, because this was a throw up. But that being my favorite movie experience is weird because of what it had happened in it. But it was the fact that my son wanted to stay and watch Star Wars even after he got sick and threw up. That's it. That's number one. There are a lot of experiences that I've had over the years. Seeing Jurassic Park for the first time in a drive-in theater in high school. That was a really good one. I was with one of my really good friends at the time. Came out, and I remember he had a Geo Tracker. It's like a Jeep thing with a soft top on it. We unzipped the back window and had a camcorder in the back, and it was wired to the stereo. So we had Jurassic Park on VHS. We had a lot of movies like that. I remember The Lion King was one of them. We had a lot of bootleg VHSs back in the day that way. Never thought to sell them. We weren't smart enough for that. We were doing it for our own pleasure to have the movie. Episode 1, going to see Star Wars Episode 1. This was the first time I was in a movie that the entire crowd was so involved in the theater. I literally hate to be talked to or talked around while I'm watching a film. I've got horror stories about this. Maybe I've told them, maybe I haven't. Maybe that's another chat. But in Episode 1, everybody in that theater was genuinely excited. No matter what the outcome is, what your thoughts are on the film itself, everybody in that theater at that time was focused. It was one of the biggest films that I had been to since, like, Batman 1989. I remember the original 90s Turtle movie was really hard to get into and big. But this one was Star Wars. You know, we're 1999. We haven't had a Star Wars movie since the early 80s. And we're going to see what happened beforehand. Young Obi-Wan. And I remember watching the film and the part where Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting Count Dooku and get their butts kicked. I remember Yoda coming in, and when he dropped his robe open and the lightsaber came to his hand and it ignited, I've never been in a movie since that crowd erupted. It was the loudest roar. Everybody, there were people standing up. It was crazy, and I've never been a part of that since or before. And that was such a film experience, like a once in a lifetime probably. That's going to happen, and it was one of the times that I allowed everybody in the theater to speak and scream and yell and whatever. And it wasn't until the next few nights that I got to go back and watch it again and see what the fuck really happened in that 2-minute period, because, you know, everybody was screaming their asses off. But, yeah. The first time I took Gannon to see Godzilla, the first Godzilla to be released, God, I don't even remember what it was, 5 years ago or so. And it was me, him, and my wife. I think that might have been the only three that went. And there was maybe like 2 other people in the theater at the time. And when Godzilla charged up and let out the atomic breath, we were both on our feet. Yeah! Yeah! It was just so crazy. But, yeah, I'm just kind of wondering, what's everybody's favorite, you know, cinema experience that you've seen? You know, not just your favorite, but give me some examples of things that you've seen. Mike, I know you've seen so many great films in your hometown, which I believe you said the theater was closing, which is a fucking travesty. That would be so great to own a movie theater where you could play films like that. Just charge just enough to pay for rent and the movie, and that's it. Just to show the public, but around here nobody would fucking go. I'd have like me and 3 other people would go watch older movies. That was one of the things that I meant to say before about Alien. There was me and 7 people. There were 7 people total in that theater, including me. And that kind of was depressing, but it showed all week. So who knows. But anyway, yeah, let me know what your favorite cinema experiences are. If you've had something crazy happen, just something you've enjoyed with your kids, ones that you've been to where something amazing has happened, anything like that. I'd really like to hear it. So that's it. That's my chat. So on to the next later.